Howdy do, Hickey. I just want to lift some people up and also tear some people down. I know some people might not like that, but there's this saying that God tears a ruler down or brings them down and brings another up. So sometimes these things kind of happen. And like a king, I'll obey the sage's wisdom. I'll tear those down and bring others up. Because this is the Lord's doing and not mine. And some of you, I just want to encourage out there. I'm meeting with a sage today here in Ludington. And I just want to praise God for all the wisdom and give him the glory. And I've had to confront a lot of leadership lately. And the sage that I have met, he's just an awesome brother. And I've been through a lot of persecutions in my past, and I feel like this is kind of the first time I've had a sage stand with me. And we know God is going to do awesome things, and we're not afraid. And he has chosen us. And in some respect, this sage has been a fly on a wall. He sees what no one sees, and he's heard what no one has heard. For the eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. And I think some people forget this. God knows all your secrets, your evil plans, and your misconceptions. And sadly, some of these religious leaders have become a brood of vipers. And quite simply, the word of the Lord is, some of you should just shut up and listen. Some of you have been babbling on for years. And it's time for you to listen because you've forgotten how to listen. You've forgotten how to obey. There's a psalm that talks about, I think it's David, but basically he said he had become wiser than his elders because he is obedient. Some of you have forgotten what it means to have obedience and humility, and you need to stop resisting. So I've labeled this video, my name is IGNIS, which means fire. And that essentially means God is an all-consuming fire, and we will purge the dross from this nation and burn off the chaff, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. And praise God. And there's been so many signs and wonders that prove this. If there's any leadership that resists this, you're going to be in trouble. So I keep bringing up this story about Israel and how they were in a famine. And a prophet had spoken a blessing over the Israel. I might not be getting my story completely straight, but if you know the story I'm talking about, you can revisit it. But there was a great famine, and a prophet had prophesied that a great blessing was about to come upon it. And there'll be so much food to come into the city because these guys were starving to death. And then there was a guard or an authority that casted doubt over that. And then the prophet spoke again against him. Basically, your eyes won't ever see it. Well, outside the city gates, a couple lepers had found an army camp that had left all its supplies behind. And once basically the people heard about all the supplies, because they were starving, right? They were running out the gates and trampled the guard to death because he cast doubt over that word of the Lord. And let me tell you guys something. There's prophets today who can give a word of the Lord. And I've prophesied about this. God's used that through me multiple times. And I guess I'm warning you again. How many times has God warned you? So I know that God is with me and his spirit is with me, and he will do what he has set out to do through me and the sages that God has blessed in my life. I'm very excited, and I hope some of you who join me will also witness and bear truth in this glorious thing that God is doing. And so I had some leadership this last week, who were resisting God. They were very flustered about some of these prophetic messages, and they're extremely hypocritical. They were afraid that I was going to interpret these messages for them. But it's kind of funny because that's what they were trying to do for this lovely woman that I've met at a workplace. They don't see the hypocrisy that they're participating in. It's like the plank is in their own eye, and they're straining at the mote in my eye. Um, Essentially, I gave this woman a prophecy, and all these elders or experts have been projecting their perception onto this prophecy to this lady and causing her to fear, doubt, and shame, which is a tragedy. And some of these men are so infatuated with being her hero. Is she your bride? Maybe you guys should be more concerned about protecting your own wives and not somebody else's. Maybe some of you should mind your own business and stop trying to project your perceptions on other people. So sometimes our perception gets in the way, right? His thoughts are higher than our thoughts, and his ways are higher than our ways. And I confess myself right now before you all, I have misconceptions. It's called we're being renewed, we're being transformed, we're being sanctified every day. But yeah, so I had to make this video because there's some leadership that are rebelling against God, and he will humble them and destroy them if he must. And I'm meeting with some other sages, and one of the sages I met with, his name's Rick. He told me, yeah, you need to prophesy, you need to tell people what they need to hear, but the timing is very critical, but also know that God's mercy and grace is far more exceeding than that. So I ask for your forgiveness if I have not, in your own perception, received it well, but God will reconcile that. So I just want to give you some comfort and joy. But anyway, this guy Rick was telling me, like, there was a church one time that some of the elders or leadership was rebuking some other leadership for being so focused on the outward appearance. And he was like the seventh person to rebuke them and be like, we need to be more concentrated on the change of the heart. And finally, that leadership had changed and repented and kind of course corrected. So some of us just need some course corrections. I need to take course corrections all the time. Mitch, me and him were talking about that during a freedom appointment. We need to be transformed. We need to be sanctified. It's a walk with God, right? And then I'm also counseling with another sage. He's 80 years old, and he has remarkable humility, and his wisdom is superior to some of these other older guys, and they need to submit to him, and they keep rebelling. What a bad example you're being. And some of you, I have obeyed you without grumbling, without resistance, and now you want to rebel. Whew. But anyway, I digress. But this 80-year-old, I'm going to give him a prophecy that I've had, and he seems to be the only one interested and excited to hear about it. But I just want to implore some of you to remind you that I love you, and the Lord is with us, and He's here to guide us in a way that's unimaginable. So I give my Father all the glory, and my Father will reveal Himself through me. Like, it brings God, our Father, great joy when He can reveal Himself in us. And that's exciting. So, Integris.